So you remember hearing stories about hundreds of years ago where they said that black folks used to get lynched and, well, hell, just lynched and killed just for learning how to read. And you say it's because that the white man or the slave masters knew that education, if we got educated or read, we'll be great people. And sometimes you might have thought it was just something that old people were saying just to make themselves feel good. But we got a problem nowadays, people. Our children have no education. Very little education. I've done stories, seen stories about how these kids. Was this one boy that was in Baltimore? He was supposed to be a senior, and mom found out he didn't have two credits, and she thought he was going to graduate. And she's blaming the school system, but when it comes down to it, you can't blame the school system. It's your fault if your kids can't read, because really all you got to do is plant a seed. You plant a seed, like you plant a seed in the tree, water it in the beginning. Once it grows, you don't have to water it no more. It learns how to live off the environment. But if you don't plant that initial seed and water it and cultivate it and fertilize it in the beginning, those first few years, it's going to die. It could quite possibly die. If it does, it could grow into the environment, and it could not grow to its full potential. A lot of wasted fruit and wasted minerals being used on something that's not going to produce as much fruit as is set out to be. Same thing with your kids. If you don't teach them early how to read, write, spell their name, say their name, this and the third, they won't grow up. It'd be hard pressed to grow up to be a productive member of society. So anyway, let's go to this TikTok video, man, because again, this is sad, folk. This is sad.
And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this?
They can't even blame the pandemic. 10 years ago in 2013, I was a pre K slash kindergarten teacher for the 2 years of me teaching. I remember when I was teaching kindergarten and we had like parent teacher night. First of all, a lot of people wouldn't come. Teachers know how that is. And I had a parent that did come with this lovely little girl. Let's just call her Tia. So I was talking to him because kindergarten, you need to at least know, I think it was 80% of the 52 letters, as in uppercase and lowercase. And you had to be able to identify it at random.
What's crazy? The CDC has like reduced the goals for learning. Like I think at a certain age, like 18 months, I can't remember. I had to look at it. God, I wish I had. I'll look it up in a minute. Oh, like you only know like three words. By the time you're like 2 or 3 years old. But bottom line, they're not forcing or not requiring or thinking kids should learn at a certain level. And a lot of people blame it on the pandemic because hey, kids sitting at home not learning. I'm sorry, kids can't teach themselves. Kids cannot. It was too many kids not logging in to the classes. A lot of them were failing. That pandemic crap failed big time, failed these children big time, set a lot of them back. And so now they're trying to catch up and know they can't catch up right now. So now they're just trying to lower the threshold as to what is considered smart or not in this country.
So I'm telling the dad that she barely knows 10 letters. And he's, in denial. She knows her letters. Knows her letters. So the daughter was there. So I sit down with my cards. Pretend this is like my white cards. This is how we test kids if they know their letters. You have letters in different like cards. Shuffle them up. Hold it up and say, what letter is this? I literally said, what letter is this? She said something that's not it. Put another one. What letter is this? She don't know it. What letter is this? She don't know it. Now the dad is looking at her like, Tia, you know this. And I'm looking at him like, no, she doesn't. And then he tells me that, oh, because her brother was supposed to teach her. Her brother was in sixth grade. It is not up
And he
to.
probably barely know them letters himself. Dude, it's not the brother's responsibility, it's your responsibility. You should have been teaching. And I don't know if he was a single dad, married to the mother or what have you, but As a child, I remember growing up, my mother read to me and my sister when we was growing up, and reading stories to us every night. You know, she still even has recordings, tape recordings of her reading stories to me. I remember read what's it called, Peter Pan storyteller, where it's like a record player, where the book we would read the book to you, and you look at the words, and then it'll say, when you hear this sound, ding, you turn the page, and you turn the page, and it's like a read along storybook. Think no Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow, all that stuff we had growing up, which educated us, help educate us. But I don't really see that nowadays like we had it back then. It's sad. It's a lot of rap music out there though.
A child in elementary school or middle school, or really any of your older kids, as someone who's your like an older child, it is not up to the kids to teach younger kids. They don't know how to teach because they have their other shit going on. In that same school, there was a student that was in 5th grade and he was reading at a kindergarten level.
Shoot, I can remember I was in third grade, public school. Now, my first 3 years of school, I went to a private school. Then went to public school in third grade. Then went back to private school for a couple of years. Then back to public school, and then went to a Montessori school. Then went to high school, whatever. But I remember being in third grade, and there was this cat. I won't say his name, but he couldn't read, and the teacher had me. So, and I know him. I call him out because that's who she had me help read. But she had me like do flashcards and help the guy read. And I guess it's because I read at a higher level than most of the kids in that class. So I was like a in class tutor. Didn't think of nothing back then. It was kind of weird. The boy couldn't read. All I'm thinking, okay, let me help him read. And he really could not spell. And I'm like, dang, this is crazy. This stuff is simple. I also remember when my sister was young. She wasn't even in school yet. And there was a little girl across the street. Now she was in grade school, a couple years, maybe like 2, 3 years older than my sister. And they would play in the backyard or what have you. Now, again, I told you my mom would read stories to us growing up, like read these books over and over again every night. So my sister had a stack of like Sesame Street books and stuff like that. And I remember they was in the backyard and they was playing school or what have you, and they was trying to read. They was going to read to each other. This girl was trying to read a book to my sister, and she was having problems reading. My sister got up, like I say, she was still maybe not even 3 or 4 at this time because she wasn't in school. She wasn't in grade school. She got up, went around, looked at the book, and said, and told the girl what the word was. Now, it was memorized. Yes. Because she had the book memorized. She could read, she could sit there and read that book, but she had the book memorized, but she was smart enough to count the words, say the words, count them, and then get to that word and say, oh, this is, what I'm saying, fantastic. And knowing dang well she couldn't spell it, but the point is she knew what the word looked like when she memorized so she can see it. So what it does, it creates muscle memory or brain memory to when she may see that word in the future, she'll know exactly what that word says because she remember what it looks like. But that's how you start them out. Again, planting seeds and nurture or planting seeds and watering and fertilizing so that when they get older, you don't have to do all that because now it's embedded in them. And yes, my sister has is let me say, my sister is a doctor. I'll say that.
This is what
Not
kindergarten
a
level reading
doctorate like Umar Johnson, but she's an actual doctor.
looks like. I see you. I like going on. In that same school, there was a student that was in 5th grade and he was reading at a kindergarten level. This is what kindergarten level reading looks like. I see you. I like to see. A 5th grader only knows how to read these little type of words. It literally boggled my fucking mind. But the thing is, because I've of course talked to those teachers and they know, every teacher knows, if you suggest to hold the child back, the parent is going to fight tooth and nail because they're more concerned about the optics of their child being held back than actually taking care of the child's needs. I have sent notes home. I have sent emails. I've literally taken a note and I have pinned it to the kid's shirt and say, "Don't take this off until your mom takes it." And I don't get nothing back. I barely get report cards back. I barely get all these things back. But then come the end of the year, luckily for me, I didn't really have like number grades. It was kind of a pass or fail. But even that, it's like, I know this kid needs help, but there's only so much that I can do. Parents, y'all can't be backseat driver about your child's learning. You have to help reinforce it at home. You put a kid in front of that phone and iPad whenever they come home, it better be on YouTube and it better be learning about letters and sight words. And you can't tell me that you can't read to the kid. It takes 10 minutes to
And
read to
that's
the kid.
it. It don't take a whole lot of time to read to your child. You ain't got 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Because here's this is something I learned from coaching, right? Now know that when my kids were growing up, I did the same thing for them that my mother did for me. Me and my ex, we did the same thing. We read to them, or we made sure they read, or made sure they was watching educational shows growing up, instilling reading, right? So my kids, I remember my youngest daughter was going to either third, I think she was going to third grade, and had a parent teacher conference. I've told this story 11 times. Go in there and talk. I went to parent teacher conference, talked to the teacher. The guy said, "Man, she must have had a great. Uh, she must have had a great. Hold on, I got distracted. Okay,
Okay.
she must have had a great second grade teacher because your child can read like on a fifth or sixth grade level, or something like that." And I'm sitting here looking at him like, "No, she had a great father because over the summer I make my kids read books, give me summaries. We sit here, they'll read to me, they'll read out loud, they'll go in the room and read, and then make them have something. I done made them read books, I done made them read the newspaper, do summaries. That's what you did. Punishment or not punishment, because I needed them to make sure that they was educated and not dumb black kids in any school. But back to what I learned in coaching is that I coached little girl softball for years, and one of the issues I had was these kids that come to practice. They come see me once a week, maybe twice. Basically, we got games. You might see me 1 week, 1 day of practice, and then on the games on weekends, and that's it. And I would tell these parents, go outside and just throw with them. They scared to catch the ball, which is understandable. Go outside and throw with them. 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. That's it. That's all it takes. 15 minutes a day, go out there and throw with them. You know why? Or I would say 10 minutes a day. You know why I would say 10 minutes a day? Because I know if you go out there and you just go out there and throw for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes will automatically turn to about half an hour. Especially when you realize that your child has no skills and then got a lot to learn. That time will that 5 minutes turn to 15, will turn to 30 minutes, may turn to an hour easily. But the goal was for just to get the parent out there to practice with the child. Same thing with reading. You get in there and you read with your child for 15 minutes. That 15 minutes will turn to 30 minutes, could turn to an hour real easy. And the biggest benefit of it is you are spending time with your child, and your child is seeing that you care about them and spending time with them, which is the biggest thing for a kid. Is time with the parents. If you don't spend time with them when you get older, it's gonna be too late, and you're not gonna feel like spending time with them when they get older. So it's like you just wasted your child's youth.
No one is that busy. And it's hilarious to me because when the shutdown happened and the kids had to basically learn from home, that the parents that were in denial about their kids' behavior and their kids' learning and whatever was able to see firsthand, you know what, my kid just talked too damn much. My kid don't ever listen. My kid can't focus. He can't sit still. So maybe the teacher knows what they're talking about. But when the teacher tells you, y'all give them all types of pushback. Oh, you just trying to do this. I'm just going to email the principal and do all this shit. At the end of the day, the people that suffer are your children. Your children suffer. They grow up to be kids that can't read and can't not only like can't read, maybe if they could read, just word for word, they can't process what they read. They can't like decode information, context clues, predicting the next word. Oh, this person's making an inference. Like they will jump in people's comments because they just read it for what it is and didn't actually process what the hell is happening. And the government and the institutions are banking on that because y'all's kids are the ones that are going to be working these jobs. And when they talk about like if slavery and labor and all that shit is coming back, that it's gonna be the low readers. It's gonna be the people that don't know that they are getting screwed over. Not saying manual labor is bad, just talking. But again, you see the fact that on TikTok you can't even say something without having to clarify because somebody is going to come in and be like, "Well, what about blah blah blah?" Listen, like this is the problem.
And why don't y'all?
And yes, it is a problem. Sadly, parents are not taking accountability for their own actions. It's your child. It don't matter if you send them to, no matter what school you send them to. It's your child. It's your responsibility. People, you parents, you see, women, mothers would be quick to say, "Oh, I birthed this child. That child stayed in my belly for 9 months, so it's my child." Blah blah blah. Okay, well, you need to raise your child. You need to educate your child. What? You're not educate yourself? Okay. There are a lot of resources, free resources that you can use to educate your child. Like she said, you can go on YouTube, find educational material, and then both of y'all sit there in front of that TV and watch it. Monitor what your kid watches. It's simple as that. Like I said, growing up, hell, even when I was we was at the daycare. I mean, they had Three Stooges and Tom and Jerry. A lot of them shows had meanings and messages too. But there was always a Reading Rainbow. There was always a Mister Rogers. Always a Sesame Street playing. When I was at home, same thing. When I used to be at my aunt's house in the summer when my parents went to work. Same thing. It was always something, making sure something educational was on. You wasn't watching stories, you wasn't watching news, you were watching kid shows in the day. So you were learning. And again, like I said, my mom and parents, they were teaching us, making sure that education was key, which is probably why they put me in private school at a young age too, which helped out a lot. Because hell, I remember going to the sixth grade and I think I made like 7 100s on all my tests, my first test, because I was like ahead of these cats, which is almost maybe like a almost ended up like as a detriment because it made me believe school was easy. So I know that I looking back that I slacked off and got lackadaisical. And it showed in my effort in work. But like I know if I put effort into it, it was easy, but it just showed over time until I had to buckle down and get it, and get it right. But yeah, you got to y'all, and what y'all don't understand too, as to end this, and I might put this. Matter of fact, I think I shared this on my Instagram page though. But you have to understand that the government, can dictate and predict how many prisons they need to build based on if your kid is proficient in the third and fourth grade. Again, the government can dictate or determine how many prisons that they need to build by if your child is proficient in reading in the third and fourth grade. Because they know if they are not astute readers or not reading on the grade level at that time, they're not going to catch up later on in life. They're pretty much stuck in their ways. They say statistics show that a person is stuck in their ways by the time they're 12 years old. By that time, 12, 13 years old. By that, anything after that, it takes an act of God to change a person to become, to change for the better. So you got to understand that, man. I don't care what people say. I don't care how they try to frame it. Education is key. Period. Education is number one. Period. You can't get anywhere without it. I mean, you'll have some people like Slim Thug would tell you that he made it and didn't go to college and all this kind of stuff. Well, dude, you was a rapper. You was a rapper and you was able to learn on the job. And you know what I'm saying, you did good. You talk about some of the bad deals and how you lost money in the past, but you learned and you was able to overcome it. And now you got a bunch of cars, condos, houses, and all that kind of stuff. And you good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But everybody can't do that. Everybody can't make money like that. A lot of people need to go to school and learn a trade or go to college and get a degree. As simple as that. It's just not, it's just the way it is. So, but in the end, well, in the beginning, it starts with education. Read with your child and monitor your child's activities online. Make sure they're educating themselves. The younger you start, because the powers that be, they start with your child from the time you send them to daycare or the time you send them to school or pre-K or Head Start. They already starting with your child. So you need to start before then. Sure, I remember real quick, like my oldest daughter, I think my ex wanted my oldest daughter to, she wanted to put in a Head Start. I thought it was the thing to do. And I'm sitting here like, why in the heck would you put our child in a Head Start? She's way smarter than them kids, way smarter. She knows how to read, write, this, and the third. Why are you doing this? Because I think it was free or something. Like, no, you can get into school instead of have to pay for daycare at the time. So she was like, we can get in that and then it's free or whatever. Man, that child went in there and I mean, they looked at her like she was a freaking genius. She could spell her name, everybody else's name, no colors, all that kind of stuff. She didn't need to be there. And she didn't stay there long because I'm like, man, my child, you ain't finna dumb my child down for we'll figure this out. And we end up doing it. So, I can say, both of my kids, I say, they've been a blessing, especially educational wise. My oldest daughter, she got a couple of degrees, got a career, working out of state. My youngest daughter, she's in school, she's in college right now, about a year or two from getting her degree. So hey, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it works out. Cause my goal was to make sure that my kids were productive members of society when they got old. That's it. Not having to leech off nobody, not having to use nobody, just having the ability to take care of themselves if need be. And that's what you got to look at. You got to look at the future, not right now. Not look at how cute this kid is. No, you need to get on that kid's butt and put them to work. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those four things cost you nothing but maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here. If you would like to support us financially, you can do super thanks, super chat, super stickers, or you can go to the description box. There's links down there you can click on and support us that way. But with that being said, I leave you in peace and I'll see you on the other side.